Hello, hello, hello. It's Knits for Sanity and welcome to my WIP and Chat. WIP stands for Work in Progress. So grab whatever project you're currently working on, whether that be a craft or other hobby, or perhaps you are exercising or just need to take the dog for a walk. And the chat part, well, let me chat with you for about an hour or so and keep you company. All right, I start off every episode with what I am currently doing and working on, and this time I can change it up a little bit. The last several episodes have been the same thing. No changes with any of my accessories, nothing. While the painting is still the same. This is still Blooming is the name of this piece of art, and it's from Jada Gym Shop. I am slowly but surely making progress on it, but I do have a few changes. I changed out my Mary Mud. I'm now using apricot sugar. It does still smell a lot like the St. Ives peach sugar scrub. It's yummy though. It's perfect for summer. And I am using my new pen from Butterfly Effect Wares. And I'm also using this tray that I just showed off on a Temu unboxing. And I used it last night, and I thought I'd use it again today and show you kind of like how I keep track of which drills are in here. Because one of my concerns with using multiple colors at once is how am I going to remember which DMC code this one is and this one and this one. So what I do is I take all of my containers out and then I line them. Ooh, actually, we'll put the containers here. And then I have them mirror how I put them in the tray. So, 151 is in here, 963 is here, 3326 is in here. So that's how, and then I leave this sitting on a different part of my painting so that I know which color goes where. And it worked for me last night, and I didn't make a big mess. So I'm hopeful that I can continue doing this and I won't run into problems. I'm still really nervous about it. I am historically a one color drill only person. However, I will say that being able to have the 6 other colors out was really nice last night when I was working on this square right here, just with a lot of confetti in a piece. And you always are going to miss, you're always going to miss, like you'll find 2 151s while you're working. And to save the time from having to like pull out this container again and put in those extra 2 drills is really kind of lovely. So hopefully that will continue to go well. But then for larger colors or other colors, I am still using my Sparkle Green Bella Art de Nicole drill tray. Then there's one other thing that I wanted to point out to you because it's actually kind of funny. Last night I was working with my new Butterfly Effect Wares pen, and I put in drill tips that I got from Temu, which was also in that Temu unboxing that I just recently uploaded. And I was having some difficulties last night. I mean, like, it was going fine, but my single tip just seemed kind of weird. Like, I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. And I thought, oh, so maybe these Temu tips are not any good. Well, this morning I was looking at it and I thought, I want to see what the other one is like, because I got 2 basic single tips and then there's 1 angled single tip that I got. So I thought, let me check out what the other one is like. Well, maybe you can see this one that I was using last night is a square. Can you see how that's a square versus this is round? So I can tell you this is a square painting. This square tip is ridiculous. Totally unnecessary, and it just kind of threw me off. Like, I did fine, I could still use it, but it was weird. It just felt off. So I've replaced it now with the round tip. So hopefully today will feel a little bit more natural. But I just thought that was really amusing. I didn't notice it. You don't get square. There's no reason to ever use square tips in diamond painting. So it was just a really strange, it was a strange sort of discovery for me this morning. All right, I'm not actually going to start with any of those colors. Instead, we're going to do kind of like the main color through this whole canvas. And we'll start with that one first. In other like business related news, I really, really was hoping I'd get this painting done before the end of the month. It's not looking good. What is the date already? The 23rd or something like that? My trash jewel tray is also from Bella Art Day Nicole too. And it's wrapped up like that because I don't like how it feels. So the only way that I can touch is that I had to wrap it with washi tape. So that's that story. But yeah, I was hoping that I would be done with this painting by the end of July, and that just has not happened. Things continue to be busy and unexpected, and so here I am, last week of the month here, and I'm still working on this same kit. And the reason why it's not a big deal, but the reason why it's a deal and why I mention it is because starting August 1st, I will be beginning the Great Escape event. And I have to get that kitted up before August 1st. So in case you're wondering, the Great Escape event is being hosted by Rebecca from Crafting and Crime Daily, as well as Mickey from Mickey Sunshine Creates. And this year's theme is fantasy. So it needs to be a landscape fantasy piece. And it has to be at least 50 by 50 centimeters in size, which isn't really very large. This painting is a 60 by 60, so 50 by 50 is actually quite a bit smaller than this even. But fantasy, I showed off what I'm doing in my last WIP Chat. So a landscape with some kind of fantastical element about it. So my painting, which I actually will probably do an unboxing for, and maybe I'll even do a kitting up video. I haven't done one of those in a while. We'll see. But my painting is from Dreamer Designs, and it's like a pretty sunset image, wooded, like woods. But then what makes it fantasy is there are these really cute, this tree that's in the foreground has all these cute like windows and doors and stuff. You know, it's obviously like a gnome house or a fairy tree, or it could be a house for the owls. There's an owl that's sitting on one of the tree branch. But anyway, it's definitely not at all real world, as much as it would be adorable to go out into the woods and see this tree with all these cute little doors and windows in it, thinking that some adorable little critter lives there. That's not real life. So that is all that is required, you know, so it doesn't need to be like some like crazy fantasy. Otherwise, this looks like a pretty standard landscape painting. So if you are kind of interested in doing this event, but you're thinking to yourself, but landscape fantasy, I don't have anything like that. Look through your stash again. Odds are you probably have something that would work. If you do landscape paintings at all, go look. You probably do have something that would qualify. And I will, of course, link to all of that information below for how you can register for that event. There is still time to do so. You just have to have your kitted up and posted on the event web page or Facebook group page by it's either August 1st or July 31st, and I should probably find out. And of course, there's a Google form that you need to fill out and everything too, but I will link to all of that, and you can look into it yourself if you so desire. So that is what kind of covers the business end of things here for business end. What's going on in the world of my crafting right now. Earlier I'd mentioned doing a knitting event that I have done for lots of summers called Camp Loopy. that didn't really come to fruition this year for me or my daughter. It just didn't happen. There's just been other things going on, and so the knitting camp didn't happen. I'm still knitting my piece. It's a shawl that I picked out, so I'm still working on it. It's just going a lot more slowly than if we were actually doing the camp, it would have been going. So this may be the longest time I've had in between WIP and chats to date, which is saying something. We're coming up on 1 year of like really dedicating to my channel and doing WIP and chats. So we're coming up on like the 1 year anniversary. No, I'm not gonna do anything crazy, but it is still worth noting that it's like, wow, I've been committed to this for a year. And during that year time, I don't think I've ever had quite, well, maybe once or twice during the wrestling season I did have this kind of a space between WIP and chats. And it was not intentional. It was a combination of a lot of different things that just started happening and going on. And so I want to get you caught up on some of that kind of stuff right now too, and just let you know what's going on with us and give you the updates with the family. I kind of left it off. Oh, I have a daughter. She wants to show off. She brought me a bouquet of flowers. She grew these. This is Veda Bug. So it is very, very pretty.
Some wild ones too.
Why don't you actually put that on the kitchen table?
That's what I was going to do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So very, very pretty in there. Yeah, it's during the day. The children are kind of running around a little bit, but they know that I'm doing a WIP chat, so hopefully they'll be mostly behaved. The exception, of course, to that may be my son. He is feeling not quite right today, but it could even just be he ate too many raspberries last night. We have a ton of super ripe raspberries on our property right now. And last night he kind of went to town eating those. So it could just be an overindulgence on ripe raspberries is what's giving him a little bit of an upset tummy today. It's also his last day for dance class, so hopefully later this afternoon he's still feeling okay, well enough to at least be able to do his last day of dance. I would feel so bad for him if he has to miss his last summer dance class, but I don't think he'll have to. All right, so I left off kind of talking a little bit about doctor appointments that the family was having regarding the genetic disease that runs in the family, and health insurance frustrations. The doctor appointment did indeed happen a couple Thursdays ago. The appointment itself, there's not really anything to report with that because it's mostly the appointment getting you set up for the coming year worth of testing that needs to be done. The one thing that would have been nice, but we couldn't get in time, would have been lab results for blood testing. But thanks to new health insurance, we needed to get prior authorization for lab results. We needed to use a completely different like outpatient center because our new health insurance uses this one specific lab. And so we didn't actually end up taking anyone in to get blood work done until the morning of the appointment, which was fine with the doctor. However, we still haven't heard back about those labs. So I'm not sure exactly what's up with that. It shouldn't take this long, I don't think. But what do I know? I mean, it's never taken this long before, but maybe with the new lab it is. I have no idea. Anyway, so additional health insurance frustrations. I was talking about all of the referrals that we need to get now, and I still stand by, I think it's kind of actually medical harassment. It's not like their condition is going to change from year to year. It is the same, and having to make us go through the stress of worried, well, last year they approved the test, but what if they don't approve the test this year? What if I can't get the test that I need? What if I die because the health insurance company decided that, no, you just had that test last year. Never mind the fact that you have this genetic disease, which requires you to have these tests done regularly. I also, hospitals are large organizations often. And so what happened with this last appointment too, it ended up being okay. I want to start the story with that. And it ended up being just fine. But we all met with the doctor Thursday late morning, Thursday night. So well after this appointment was said and done, a voicemail finally showed up in my inbox. That was from Alfie. You don't need to be in here. Don't give me the sad face.
Alfie, come on.
You don't need to be back here by me. No.
Come on, Alfie.
I know. The dog is depressed because I'm not letting him into my nook. So now he's sitting just outside of my nook. So he's not out of fart range. He's going to release gas and it's going to smell awful. And that's like his revenge, I think. Anyway, so Thursday night, well after the appointment was done, I got a voicemail that finally came through. She had actually left it Wednesday evening from the hospital, someone in like their billing or whatever department that is. And she was saying that they had not yet received the prior authorization from my husband's doctor for the appointment at 11 a.m. the next morning. And just letting me know that if they didn't have that receipt, that authorization from his doctor by 11 a.m. the next morning, we may be liable to pay for his appointment. Great. You called me Wednesday night before an 11 a.m. appointment to let us know this, which is, thank you for doing that. However, I didn't get the voicemail till Thursday night. Now, that's not the fault of the hospital. That's the fact that we live in the middle of nowhere. But now it's too late. Like, he's had this appointment. We're being billed. So I had to tell my husband that at like 10 o'clock at night when that voicemail finally showed up. The next morning, he called right away, just to find out, so do we owe out of pocket for this appointment now or not? The kids were all fine, by the way. The 3 kids, their referrals all went through. It was just my husband, thank goodness. And yes, they had indeed received the referral before 11 a.m. Thursday morning. So my husband's doctor did pull it off. He did come through. He did send that referral back in time. But still, you should not have to live like this. Like, this should not be a constant worry and concern. Now, all of them, well, 2 of the kids plus Dave, they need hearing tests. They need brain spine MRIs. They need abdominal MRIs. And all of them require separate referrals. And a couple of them still need to go in for eye tests again this year. They're on a little bit different cycles. So my son will go in December to have his eye test, and then the girls go in January, and my husband goes sometime next spring. And of course that will all need to be with referrals. And I'm just so frustrated and so overwhelmed. And healthcare should not be this complicated and this demoralizing. And the way that the way that it's set up too, it's like, well, it's not our fault that you didn't get the authorization in time. So that's just too bad. I'm sorry. Sucks to be you. Okay, but anyway, so it's for those of you that are in the States and have health insurance frustrations, you understand completely. Not to mention the fact that my husband made a good point that there is a YouTuber, Dr. Glaucom Feckin, that perhaps you know who he is. He's absolutely hilarious. He's actually like an optometrist or ophthalmologist. I can't remember which one. But he does all these funny medical videos. Some of them, though, do get pretty serious. Like he did one on suicide among rural residents, which is a very, very serious problem. Suicide among rural males is kind of out of control. But often he will point out medical or healthcare related issues in a very humorous, super funny way. And one thing that he has pointed out, and I agree with 100%, is health insurance companies are practicing medicine without a license. And really, he is not wrong. You know, why does the health insurance company get to say whether or not my loved ones or me or I may or may not have this medical test? Are they a doctor? Do they have medical training? Have they seen me? Do they personally know my condition? No, and no. That's practicing medicine. When you dictate whether or not somebody can receive necessary medical tests, that's practicing medicine. And they're not authorized to do that. They don't have medical degrees. So I don't know. I'm done. I'm done with the health insurance kick. If you work for a health insurance company, I hold nothing against you. Just know that I loathe health insurance companies, but I don't loathe you, if that if that helps at all. So that's kind of the brief medical update. Since then, we still need to get everything scheduled. We still haven't heard about the blood work, and we would be kind of more on top of this and making phone calls like, hey, because by this time we should have been like started with that whole scheduling process, and we haven't been, which is kind of odd. It's never taken this long in the past. But we've had a lot of other things happen rather suddenly that our attention has been kind of diverted. So my husband, I'm going to tell you the whole story. So my husband's grandma, 95 years old, and sweet lady. It's my husband's mom's mom, and my husband's mom passed away now 3.5 years ago already, but his grandma's still been alive. And just over 2 weeks ago, this past Sunday, I found a postcard that his grandma had sent with her new phone number on it, and I gave it to my husband, and I'm like, you should call your grandma. That would be a fun thing to do with the kids. And I like shove it at him, like, call your grandma. He's like, yeah, I should do that. And I'm thinking, well, why can't you do it right now? And he didn't do it. He just, took the postcard. I don't even know what he bothered doing with it. And so I was kind of upset about it, but I mean, it's not my grandmother. I can't make him do anything, And then 2 days later, I had an atrocious migraine. The worst migraine that I've had in several years. I was in bed 24 hours. It was very, very bad. And then during that whole process, I kept having all of these weird and very vivid dreams. It was insane. And one of those dreams, though, my husband and I were driving somewhere, and I started getting really upset with him because he had not called his grandma. And I made some comment about how she is 96 years old. She is not going to be with us much longer. You need to call her right now. And there was a huge sense of urgency in my dream. Well, she's actually only 95, not 96, but the dream was pretty accurate. That happened then on Tuesday. Thursday evening, we find out from my father-in-law that grandma had gone out for a walk earlier that day. Unbeknownst to anyone at the assisted care facility that she was living at. I still am not 100% sure how that happens, But anyway, she went out for a walk. Nobody knew about it. She didn't let anyone know that she was going for a walk, and she fell and she really hit her head. And she was being transported from her smaller hospital up north down to a larger hospital in a major city south of us. And so I told Dave, we are going to go and see her. You're letting your boss know that you have to leave work early. We need to go and see your grandma. And so we did that Friday afternoon. We went and we saw grandma, and she looked terrible. That poor woman took a really serious fall. Half of her face was black. It was bruised so badly. But we went down, we saw her. We had a really nice visit with her. We actually got there right when she was being transferred out of the ER into a patient room. So she was tired. Just that's a lot of work, especially when you're 95 years old. But we still had a really nice visit with her. And then she's 95 and ready to die, ready to be done living, and in a good way. It's not even that she was miserable. It's not like my mother-in-law, who spent the last several years of her life with a very poor quality of life. That really hasn't been the case for grandma. She's done okay. She's had her issues, but she's done okay. She's ready to be done. Her husband passed away almost 20 years ago. She's buried 2 children. Her siblings are all gone. Oh, fudge buckets. I made a mess. So that one of those, I'm tired and I'm ready to be done type things. And so when a general surgeon came in to list off all of the incidentals that they found when doing her scans, so those things that while doing the scans, they weren't necessarily looking for these issues, but they found them. So then they have to tell her about them, So he's going on about, she has a little bit of diverticulitis and some kidney cysts. And I kind of just step in and say, basically, look, I understand you need to tell us all of this, but we can go through this pretty quickly. She's not going to see to any of these things. And he kind of gave me this look like, who are you? You just want to knock off the old people or what? But grandma piped right up and she's like, yeah, I've made my peace. I know where I'm going. I've signed the papers. I am ready to die. And then she did say, I'm 95 years old. And then he did like, oh, I didn't realize you were that old, and then he did make the comment, like, I really hope that if I make it to 95, that I'm able to say all of those same things. And then, his attitude completely changed. I don't think he truly did not realize that she was as old as what she was. And that, at 95, if you don't have renal cysts, you're a total abnormality. I mean, by the time you're 95, you're going to have renal cysts, guaranteed. And guess what? At 95, you're not going to do a damn thing about those renal cysts. So that was kind of my point when I was talking with him, because she was tired. She was tired, and she really was not interested in what he was saying. Well, anyway, we had a wonderful visit. One of his cousins showed up late in the visit, and we haven't seen him since my husband's mom's funeral. And so it was kind of nice just to catch up with him for a couple of minutes. And then I noticed grandma was really tired. And so I said, are you trying to politely get us to leave without telling us to just leave? And she kind of laughs a little bit, and she's like, yeah, I am really tired. And I said, I understand. So I kicked us all out. And we left, and I had some concerns. Her short-term memory was horrendous. She totally knew who we all were and was so happy to see us, but there was a lot of repetition in the conversation. There were just a couple of things that had me concerned. And so I was not that surprised when we got a phone call Wednesday afterwards. So she fell Thursday and was in the hospital until Monday when they transferred her to a subacute rehab facility. And then Wednesday, she ended up having a seizure. And when we got that phone call, I was not shocked. My husband wasn't either. And so they rushed her back to the hospital, and they did find that the blood that they had seen on the brain from her fall the week before had increased substantially, and this was now end of life. She was dying. So Thursday we went back down. We sat with her for a little bit. She was not there anymore. You know, she was gone. It was just waiting, really just waiting for the rest of her brain to, you know, finally shut down. But we held her hand. She definitely, you know, it's funny because even when dying and even when she wasn't really present, she really liked having someone hold her hand. To the point that like she would like move her hand, like almost like she was looking for something to hold, you know? And so then someone would grab her hand. And we saw another one of Dave's cousins. We saw his aunt and uncle. And when we left, I hope people understand this the way that I intended it. But when we left, you know, my husband and I both really felt like we hope that this goes fast. Not that she was in any pain. There was no pain. You know, I sat with her for a long time, and there was definitely no pain on her face. But she was restless and uncomfortable, you know, when it's just the body and there's no like higher brain activity happening. It gets hard for the family to sit there for a long time. And perhaps you have had to do this. You know, I've sat with people before who are dying like this, and you want it to be fast. And so I was thankful when the next morning we found out she had indeed passed away during the night. So very early Friday morning, about 3:40 in the morning, she did pass away. But like she had said the Friday before, she's like, I've had a wonderful life. I've had a great life. She did. She had a wonderful life. She actually was my grandmother for longer than I had either of my own grandmothers. Both of my grandmothers passed away when I was 15 and on the same day. Totally unrelated incidents. They just both happened to die on the same day. And I was only 15 versus I've had this grandma now for really over 20 years. Wonderful woman, kind, you know, learned a lot from her. I am both excited and sad to be going to her funeral on Thursday this week. You know, sad because obviously she is dearly missed, and, you know, losing that additional connection to my husband's mom and my husband's family is hard. You know, that kind of thing is hard. You understand, especially if you have been through it. I know that you get it. But I'm also excited because I can't wait to hear what other people have to say about her, what memories other people have to share. I think even though she was 95, which most of the time, by the time you're 95 and pass away, there's not a large turnout for your funeral. For the simple reason that most of the people that you have known through your life have also passed away by that time. But I suspect there will be a relatively decent turnout for her funeral, which is really, really kind of cool, actually. And so I'm kind of excited for the funeral in a way. If that makes sense too. Like, this all sounds so like ironic. Like Like, oh great, you wanted her to die and you're happy to go to a funeral. Like, that's not that's not accurate. That's not actually what I'm saying. Rather, this is one time where I feel like this is a real celebration of life. She lived a long, great life, and I am excited to celebrate that, is probably the better way to put it. So we have a funeral coming up this week. The way that things are done around here is you will have what's called a visitation, or kind of also known as a wake if you are Catholic. Grandma was not Catholic though, so it's called a visitation. People will come the night before her funeral to view the body and stuff, and that's not a nice drill. We're gonna get rid of that one. Yeah, that one's all kinds of wonky in shape. And you know, talk with the family and stuff. It's usually a really nice time to gather with people, and more casual than an actual funeral service. And that is happening the night before her funeral, but we will not be going to that. Talking with my husband and stuff, it's in the evening, and she lives over an hour and a half away from us. And with the kids and stuff, it just doesn't make sense, especially when the day of her funeral, though, there will be another hour-long visitation right before the funeral and then the funeral. So we're just going to do that. We'll just, pack up for the day and head over for a longer day that day is what I think we're going to do. So that's kind of the really sad news. After talking about the frustrations of health insurance and now talking about death, can it get any better? Yes, it can. So, well, I guess, I don't know, it's not, oh boy, oh boy, maybe I should interrupt with a kind of funny story a minute. As I'm thinking about going, it's not bad news or information that I have to share, but it's still somewhat kind of heavy. So maybe I better interrupt all this with a quick, funny little story for you. So when my husband and I were driving home from the hospital last week, when Grandma, after she'd had the seizure, so she was really gone already by that time. So when we were driving home from the hospital, I was playing a playlist that my daughter invited me to on Spotify. If you're familiar with Spotify, you'll get the shared playlist thing. But if you're not, just a very quick explanation is you can invite people to a shared playlist, and then Spotify will make a playlist for you using all of the most common songs that everyone in the group listens to. So it's some of the songs that I listen to a lot are in the playlist. Some of the songs that each of my daughters listen to a lot is in the playlist. Well, this one song came on called, I'll tell you the name, and if you feel so inclined to look it up yourself, you may. It's called Galactic Mermaid. If you have a huge problem with swearing, do not listen to this song. So the song starts playing, and it is this super happy, bouncy song, but it's all cuss words. The whole thing. It's this sugary, sweet female singing in this almost Asian pop style music, and it's all cuss words, the entire thing. And I look at my husband like, whose music is this? And apparently my husband knew about it. Yeah, apparently my husband knew about it. And he's like, oh, it's Sylvia's. And Sylvia and Veda listened to this song. I'm like, what? What do they even like about this song? There's nothing to like about this song. She just swears the entire time. And my husband said, well, I think they get a kick out of the irony of it. You know how it's all happy sounding, but it's all swear words. Okay, I get it. I get it. They're 13 and 14 years old. That's this hilarious thing, oh, listen to this song. It's so funny because she's swearing and And we're, 13 years old. My 13-year-old is listening to this, so that's kind of why I'm saying it like this too. And I'm 13 and I'm not supposed to listen to this stuff, but it's so funny because it sounds so happy and poppy. Ha 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 ha. Right, Veda?
No.
Hmm.
I guess another reason why I like listening to it is because of the fact that I know that you won't like listening to it, I guess.
Well, at least she's honest. She just said to me, I guess another reason why we like listening to it is because we know that you won't like us listening to it.
It's an act of rebellion.
It's an act of rebellion, she just told me. Interesting. So anyway, that is this song. Like I said, it's called Galactic Mermaid if you want to look it up. And so after we got home, my husband made some comment like, yeah, Mom knows about Galactic Mermaid. Oh no, we got home and then the kids had done a phenomenal job that day. The house was pretty well picked up. Their brother was showered. Just super proud of them. They'd done a really good job. And so we took them to the local ice cream place. And it was while we were in the car going to or from the ice cream place that Dave made the comment, yeah, Mom knows about the Galactic Mermaid song. And Sylvia and Veda like, oh, like, yeah, sorry, Mom. That whole teenage type behavior. And so I kind of rag on them a little bit about, I can't believe you listened to that, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I overdo it a little bit. I mean, like, I'm not really all that bothered by it. Darn it, she heard me say that.
We're joking. I felt kind of bad about it.
Well, you should feel kind of bad about it. We don't listen to that kind of music, Veda. Have you removed it from your playlist?
No.
Well, get on that. Yes. Who still controls your devices if you can't behave? Yeah, gosh darn it is right. Anyway, can you keep it on one playlist? Community question time. Here we go. What do you people think? I'm going to leave it up to you. Now that you know about my daughter's listening habits.
That's not what I listen to.
That's an exaggeration. What do you guys think? Should my 13 and 14-year-old daughters be allowed, they're going to be 8th and 9th grade, be allowed to keep this one song on a playlist because they think it's amusing? Bear in mind, it's all cussing. The whole thing is swear words. The whole thing is cussing, okay? But it's definitely done in a very ironic fashion. This poppy, sugar sweet music. In your opinion, do you think they should be allowed to keep it on a playlist? And I want that to be my community question. What are community questions? Community questions are meant to be a way to get to know one another, typically speaking, and I usually ask very general questions most of the time, with the effort of getting to know one another a little bit better in my YouTube community. But today's question is quite direct, and it is highly personal to two of my children.
Hold on, Mom. I think that wouldn't be fair if the older one though had to get rid of it, because I was the one who started this, so I feel like only I should face the consequences.
That's almost noble of you, except for the fact that that really wouldn't make a difference whether you got rid of it and your older sister still had it, would it?
And no,
No.
Wouldn't make a difference.
No, it really would not make a
I don't
difference.
listen to Sylvia's playlist.
Regardless, it's still a song full of cuss words.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not removing it from any of my playlists until the results come in.
Oh, she said she's not removing it from any of her playlists until the results come in.
We have it on one to begin with, maybe two.
She says it's only on 1 or 2 playlists as is. Well, I want to leave that up to you. What do you people think? In the meantime, however, Veda, you're not allowed to listen to those playlists.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. So that is today's community question. Now that's an interesting one for you, isn't it? That your answer will depend on pretty much how you were raised and how you raised your own children. But I'm curious to know what you think. It is definitely meant to be done in a truly ironic fashion. There is no, it's not directed toward anyone. As far as quote unquote bad music goes, it's actually pretty innocent. But don't tell them I said that. All right, but that's your community question. Answer away, people. Anyway, so while we're in the car and I'm giving them a hard time about this song, and then they start talking about other stuff. So then we get on a different topic, and Sylvia, my oldest, says something about, yeah, but I'm a really good kid, or something along those lines. I don't really get in trouble, which is true. My kids are all very good kids. They very, very rarely are in any kind of trouble. She's like, yeah, I'm a really good kid. My son, without missing a beat, the 7-year-old who's still in his booster seat, faces his sister and says, yeah, but what about this galactic mermaid situation? It was hysterical. The way he said it, the look on his face, he doesn't know what this song is at all. Like, we didn't talk about what the song was made up of or anything like that in the car because of having the 7-year-old in there. The 11-year-old was already aware of the song, although she says that she hadn't listened to it, but she was already aware of it, which makes sense because she's with her sisters all the time. But, it's not appropriate, obviously, for my almost 8-year-old son. So we hadn't talked about it. So he doesn't actually know anything about this song. Oh, and now my oldest is out here. Are you coming to defend yourself?
What?
Oh boy. Anyway, so yeah, but just to hear my son with his little sass, yes, but what about this galactic mermaid situation? It was so funny. What? I'm doing a WIP Chat. You need to not.
So pink.
I know that I've been working on this for like 2 months. It's always been very pink. Okay. So yeah, that's your kind of comical little like breather story. And now you can just say to yourself throughout the day, well, what about this galactic mermaid situation? The galactic mermaid situation. You are probably all now going to have to run and go listen to this song because now you're all curious. I think I'm done with this color. I think so. I'm going to put it away, which means, of course, I will find more, but that's okay, I guess. I can deal with it. I can live with it. All right, so the other thing that has been going on that has kept me away from my channel, so, as you know, I've talked about it before, our financial situation is not exactly, like, peak, like, yeah, we're not, like, rolling in money, and things have gotten really difficult lately. I got drills stuck on my arm. These drills show up everywhere. So you guys, you know about that. It's not like it's some big revelation, like, oh my gosh, you're poor. Yeah, no, we're poor. We've always been poor, but lately it's gotten really bad. If you are relatively new, you may not be aware that I did quit my job about 1.5 years ago. I was working as a substitute teacher, but depression and autistic burnout just hit me really, really hard, and I needed to quit. And I talked with my husband, and we agreed that I needed to quit and stay unemployed for as long as possible in an effort to try and heal. Well, starting about 1 year after quitting is when things really hit a financial hardship time. And so I've been actively looking for employment for a few months now. At one point, I had actually signed up to take on subbing jobs again. But I was so anxious about it. So anxious to the point that like I knew that was not the right thing for me to do. So I ended up canceling all of those and started looking elsewhere. And it's been a very difficult journey and process. I continue to learn that I am both overqualified for things and not qualified for things. And not qualified because I don't have any of the right college degrees, which is difficult when it is a job for which I have ample experience. When my past work experience is totally in line and makes me completely qualified for a position, and yet they tell me I'm not qualified because I don't have a degree. I don't have a degree that I would have gotten at this point 20 years ago and would be outdated. That's what prohibits me from the job. My work experience means nothing versus I could get this position, and I could get some of these jobs if I had the right degree, but zero of the real world experience. How does that make any sense? Like truly, how does that make any sense? So a 20-plus-year-old degree takes precedence over real world work experience? I don't understand that at all. And I was getting really frustrated, and then everything with like health insurance company, and worried more about finances because now anyway. And typically, people, they try to be helpful. They make different suggestions about, well, have you considered this or this? And they're never really helpful suggestions. People mean well, but they don't always get it, But I did have one person, she sent me an actual personal message saying, hey, what are your degrees in? And I thought, oh, here we go again. Because I have, a lead on potential part-time work for you. And that's the other thing that's making my job hunt difficult too, is I have to have an extremely flexible schedule because of all of the medical appointments that my kids require, as well as their other activities and stuff. I don't want the kids to suddenly not be able to do any of their extracurricular activities because I have to work. That's not, if it can be avoided, that's not what I want, But the medical stuff is just not optional. Like I have to be able to do that for my kids. So the very flexible schedule is hard too. So that's another element to this whole job hunt thing that's been difficult. So I wrote her back and I did tell her, my degrees, and said, well, they're completely useless. I have not found a single job that first asks for any of these degrees. Now, bear in mind, when I started college in 1999, at the age of barely 17, what I majored in, like everyone was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be perfect. You'll be able to do anything with these degrees, because they were so general and they demonstrated excellent qualities, the ability for critical thinking and writing and research and, skills. It still demonstrated great skills. But then, of course, 9/11 happened, and Michigan's economy in particular took a really, really, really hard hit. And by the time I finished college, these degrees were useless. And I just didn't realize that how useless they would be and that they would remain useless. So I wrote her back and I told her, and she's like, well, with your teaching background though, I still think this would be a good fit for you. Why don't you and I get together and talk? So she told me a little bit about the job, and I got really excited. It does sound like really, really good for me. It is a really good fit. I have tons of experience. So we got together Friday, the same Friday that we went down to see Grandma when she was still doing not well, but was still lucid. You know, we had a nice conversation. So that same Friday morning, I met up with her, we talked, and I got really quite excited. It's the first that I, you know, felt kind of excited about a job in a really long time, and felt like, yeah, you know, this sounds good. And she assured me that my degrees would not be a problem. And so I found out, you know, who I had to send my resume and cover letter to. I spent the weekend and I perfected those and had those line up with the job that I was applying for. And Monday I sent those off. And then I got an email back saying, I can see that you have lots of experience in this, but your degree does not match the requirements. And that one hit me really, really hard. Just because this was a job that I had been assured, not just assured that my degrees were okay, but like was told you will have work soon. And it was something that I was kind of excited about doing too. And then to hear again, but your degrees don't match the requirements. I was heartbroken. And just to state that too, you have plenty of experience. I was crushed. I was just crushed. So I let the woman that I had spoken with know that this was the reply I had gotten. She wrote back saying, that's not correct. I know that's not correct. That's not right. So she had started to kind of talk with like her boss about it, I guess, and everything. And then I got thinking about it, and 2 days later, same day that we were going down to say goodbye to Grandma, essentially, that same morning I had sent off a reply email. Like I said, it was 2 days later from when I had received the original from this person, letting me know that I wasn't qualified for the job. And I maybe went a little far, but, you know, I wrote this, you know, thank you for the reply. And then I was really honest. I said, you know, my understanding was that my degrees were fine for the position that I was applying for, and that I am kind of bothered that a 20-plus-year-old college degree takes precedence over real world experience. You know, I know that you personally are not involved in determining who is and isn't qualified for employment, but I am frustrated by this. Well, I literally sent that email out, and when it refreshes, it sends out your email and emails come in at the same time. There was a email from this same person again saying, "Oh, I hope you're having a great morning. We would love to chat with you more about this job." Oh, after I just sent off this email that was maybe not like I felt like I was really, really polite, and I felt like I had a right to point out, you yourself mentioned I have all of this experience. But yeah, still. So I wrote back right away, like, "Oh, I guess our emails cross paths. Yeah, I would love to get together and talk. Any day after 10:30 is fine." Anyway, to make that long story, to now condense it to the very, very end, tomorrow morning, I do have another interview. And we'll see how that goes, especially because it's a virtual interview, and with where we live, and they want to use Microsoft Teams, it could be difficult just because of the internet connection. So I'm hoping a miracle will happen and everything will just run smoothly. I'm hoping it will go well. That is my real hope, is that it will go well. But also, my other big thing is I might be done with this color. That's not my other big thing. I mean, I guess in the moment it's kind of a big thing. But my other concern with it is, I want to come away still feeling good about it. Like, obviously I want to do well with the interview, and I want to make a good impression, and I want them to feel very confident in me, but I want to come away feeling really confident in the job, if that makes sense. Especially coming from my background and experiencing the burnout and resulting depression that I have. I'm nervous. I'm nervous about walking into something that could be a really, really bad situation again. Hopefully that's not going to be the case. So if you happen to listen to this, if I happen to upload it before that interview, just think of me. And of course, I will let you guys all know. It would still be part-time, but it would be good. Like, it would be enough that it's gonna take a while before I can start making money, because of how the job is. I can't talk about it without having the job yet, so I can't go into a whole lot of details as to why that is the case. But once I'm actually full swing into the position, it should help alleviate. We should be able to just buy groceries and not have to worry about, oh, we have to wait till the next payday to buy groceries. That's the objective here. And it should be able to do that, provided everything is as I'm being told. So there you go. So that's our other kind of information. Otherwise, I guess, I really feel like that kind of gets you up to speed with some of what's been going on and some of what's been keeping me away from my channel. Thanks for the support, and some of you have really reached out and shown some really generous vibes, just your well wishes and stuff like that for my family and their health and stuff. And I really, really do appreciate that. That means a lot to me. And I will, of course, keep you posted on the health of the family and what's going on with me and the job. Rest assured, it shouldn't prevent me from doing this. I should still be able to continue doing my channel. At least I really hope so, because I enjoy doing this. And obviously, if this could be a job in and of itself, that would be awesome. And for some people it is, just not people like me. So I want to be able to continue doing my channel. It's important to me. I think that does kind of wrap everything up for this episode. It was kind of another serious one, just because I really felt like I owed it to you guys to kind of get you caught up on what was going on with me and why I was absent so much and stuff. And so now you're pretty much up to speed with what's been happening between. It's been a very eventful few months. When I stop and I really think about everything, and some of the things that I haven't disclosed publicly here, it's a little overwhelming. I got together with a friend Friday night, and talking with her too. I haven't seen her since really all of this started, May. End of May is when things just kind of went vroom. So it's been 2 months, and it's just been thing after thing after thing. And even talking with her, I didn't manage to get through it all, but I left and I realized, hokey smokes, that is a lot that's been going on. So anyway, thank you for putting up with me, and thank you for tuning back into my channel. Don't forget my community question. Do you think that my older 2 daughters should be allowed to keep Galactic Mermaid in 1 or 2 of their playlists? I am curious to know your thoughts on that one. And of course, I truly do want your opinions. I will make my own parenting decision. no matter what the survey results say, my daughter is inaccurate with thinking that that will determine what I decide to do. But I am. I'm curious to know your opinions, or if you have dealt with this kind of thing as a parent yourself, or remember your own teenage years and what you think. And yeah, just keep moving on through the summer, keep doing awesome stuff, keep being you. And like I always say, please practice kindness. You never know what someone is going through. You don't know what their life has been like as of late. And so it's just better to be kind, to show patience. And in return, I hope that people give you the same courtesy. And I hope that you are having an absolutely wonderful day, and I will see you again real soon.